Good day, everyone, and welcome to the Rotary Club of Hall County, Georgia, and Rotary District 6910. Today's program is the immediate past Rotary International President Barry Rassin zooming in to us from Nassau in the Bahamas. We've clipped off the business part of our session to get right into the program with Barry. Take it away, Barry.
But last September 1st, Hurricane Dorian built up to a Category 5 hurricane within 3 days of hitting land in the Bahamas. So while we were prepared for hurricane, we were not prepared for a Category 5. And for us, a hurricane, you shutter up the house, you invite relatives, they come stay with you during the hurricane, you have a hurricane party, have some drinks, enjoy it. When it's over, you take down the shutters and you go and help other people with whatever challenges they have. And it's a shingles here, trees down, those kind of things, nothing too serious, because we really build well for a hurricane. This Hurricane Dorian, Category 5, was not like anything we'd seen before. Historical proportions. And like I said, it built from a 2 to a 5 within 3 or 4 days. So while they were expecting a hurricane, nothing like this. And then when it got there, it sat on top of Grand Bahama and the Abaco Islands for 2 days, and winds up to 225 miles an hour. And it just totally destroyed a lot of the Abacos, especially, and some of Freeport, Grand Bahama. Absolute devastation in Marsh Harbor, which is the economic center of the Abacos. Basically nothing left. And Rotary jumped in right away. Freeport is part of District 6990, which is South Florida. So they got a lot of help very quickly, which was fantastic. And I like to thank Florida Rotarians and Georgia Rotarians, because a lot of Rotarians stepped up to help us at a serious time of need. And we brought in from Rotarians 250 tons of supplies to Grand Bahama. Did amazing things. We had Rotarians jumped on their boats as soon as they could take a boat up to Abaco. We had a flotilla of 25 boats, ran up there to help those who basically had no homes left, had no clothes left, had nothing. And they brought them back to Nassau, and we got them into shelters. Each Rotary Club here took ownership of a shelter so that we could make sure they had food and things were coordinated, and we could at least get them through the hardest times. So Rotary really did amazing work, and we continue. As you know, we're not a relief organization in disasters, but we always react locally to a disaster. And we've kept going. Our best efforts is always long-term, because we're going to be here for the long term, and we have to help our fellow citizens and residents in the Abacos and Grand Bahama. My island was hit by the hurricane, but it was nothing compared to what happened there. So we were fine here. So what have we done? Well, as I say, all the support came in for supplies immediately. Rotary in Freeport, back 10 years ago, we put in a water plant. So as soon as the hurricane was gone, Rotary could turn on the only potable water on the island. So we were able to do that immediately, because Rotary is trying to prepare long-term. So we did that, and that was a great help. We brought in food for them, we brought in supplies. We now in Freeport, they're working on helping people get their roofs back. So we have a number of, what they've done is it's brilliant the way the Rotarians, there's 5 Rotary clubs in Freeport. Brilliant what they've done is they've got a community leader in various communities, and then that community leader helps individuals who need their roofs fixed, so that we have somebody on the ground helping, and we provide them with the supplies for the roofs. We're not going to do windows or plumbing or electric, just the roof, so at least they're dry and they can take care of their houses from there. So that's all begun. We also have purchased 2 recreational vehicles which will be used as technical assistance centers, one in Freeport, one in Abaco. And we bought them so the United Nations Development Program will use them with experts that they bring to the island to help the residents know about what they need to get their roofs or whatever fixed. So they'll have expertise to help them guide them. It turns out that RVs are against the law to bring into the country. So while we have them on the dock right now, we're dealing with the government. But one reason we brought the United Nations Development Program in, the United Nations has more pull than Rotary does. So between us, we're squeezing the government, and we expect to get them approved today or tomorrow so we can get them started and we can help our two communities with them. They cost us $130,000, and basically Rotary only put in a small portion of that. We had partners who stepped up and helped us get those funding. We also put in a portable water system into Abaco so that Abaco would have enough potable water. They were struggling with, and people sent a lot of bottles of water, but then you're left with a lot of empty bottles. So we tried to get rid of that. So they now have a portable plant. We finally got that up there last week. And so that we're able to provide water and people can come pick it up. But we also have some we can transport to the smaller communities so everybody doesn't have to travel. We also got a global grant for some engines for the fishermen. And fishermen lost all their boats. So Rotary got together and they fixed the fiberglass on the boats, but then they needed $189,000 for the first 30 boats. We put a global grant together, it's been approved, and we're right now in the process of purchasing those engines so the fishermen can go back to work in Freeport. And now that that's happened, we're going to put together another grant so we can get some more fishermen back. Again, a lot of it's about the economy and how do we get the economy back up and running when we don't have tourists, which is our economy. So whatever we can do to tweak it here and there to start getting an economy going, we need to do it. We also okay, that's the number one disaster we've ever had. And then along comes COVID-19, which is facing all of us. I mean, 212 countries and territories around the world. Everybody is faced with COVID-19. For some reason, I wish I could put my finger on the reason. Most of the Caribbean countries have really dealt with it pretty well and have had small numbers. My country, we're at 93 confirmed cases and 11 deaths. And while that percentage would seem high, it's probably because we're not testing enough people. But we seem to be doing well. The Prime Minister is slowly opening up business again. But five of the islands that are inhabited have had no cases whatsoever. He's opened them up a lot more than he has the 4 islands that did have cases. So we're starting to move forward. And he's saying by July 1st at the latest, we're going to open the airport for tourists again. Right? So we've gone months with not a single tourist. Our big hotels are completely empty, closed. And there's just now the Atlantis has put out a message to their staff that they plan to reopen one tower in the middle of June so they can start getting going. That would mean to me, although he said July 1st, he's going to have to open the airport by the middle of June. So we're at least starting to think, just like in the US, about how do we open. So now we're faced with all the projects of COVID-19 as well as Dorian. We can't travel to the islands because all of our borders are closed between islands as well as other countries. But Abaco with 5 clubs, Freeport with 5 clubs, they're handling it locally. They're doing a great job. Abaco, the one Rotary club there that we had, basically was decimated. The president now lives in Georgia. I'm not sure where in Georgia. He moved there with his family. His wife had a kid 3 days after the hurricane. So he felt it was best just to get some kind of normal life. I don't think he expected COVID-19 to come along. So he's over there, and we have 4 members on the island, and they've just this week started meeting again. And we had 25 people on the call. So a lot of people are interested and want to work with them so that we can start redeveloping Abaco with Rotary. One of our first projects since the others now, since COVID, is to help them with food. It's a long island. There's only one grocery store on the island that is back in operation. And what was happening is that everybody would jump in one truck and go to Maxwell's to get the groceries. And so you can't keep social distancing like that. So we've set up a point in Treasure Key, as opposed to Marsh Harbor, with an individual, not a Rotarian, but he's got a Rotarian heart. And I'd adopt him if I could. A guy by the name of Will Tomlinson. He started this group called Idea Relief. He started it at the beginning of Dorian and has given up his normal life for the next 2 years just to help us through the situation. And so what we've done is he has an American credit card in US dollars, and he has a 501c3 that he just started for his new organization. And so Rotary raised 20,000, 50, 67. We raised a total of 90,000, which we sent to his 501c3, which he then could use his credit card to buy groceries less expensive. We also got him a nutritionist to make sure he wasn't buying junk food. And he brought over good food to distribute. And so he's getting it out to the community instead of them coming to one place. Another important factor there is we have a lot of illegal Haitians on that island. And if they all come to one place, immigration's liable to pick them up and send them back to Haiti. So, we're Rotary. We don't care where you're from, who you are. We just want to help those who need help. So we're trying to avoid that situation and just help them with their day-to-day needs as much as we can. And that really went extremely well. So he just sent me an email today asking for another 50,000. But, we'll figure out, and we're going to get him some help, guaranteed. Everybody here is stepping up. We've also told the government that we want priority for Dorian to help rebuild the schools that need help and to put in a community center that could be used as an emergency center in the future, where we put offices for some of the NGOs, Salvation Army, Red Cross, Rotary, whatever, so that we have a place next time there's a disaster that can coordinate all the efforts. Because they were just caught short with nowhere to go, no shelter, nothing. I'm sure you've seen some of the videos of what they went through. And an interesting factor that somebody you know very well, Tommy Bagwell, who may be on this call, but I don't see him. Tommy is a member of a club that you started. I don't remember the name, but he wanted to be on this call and hear what I said, because he is on a boat in Conception Island, which is an uninhabited island. So he's living in paradise right now, okay? On his boat, enjoying life. But he's going to do something significant to help us at some point. And we're greatly appreciative of what he's doing. But he wanted to tell me to make sure I bring greetings from Tommy from Conception Island to you. So, we continue to work hard. We are going to do everything we can as Rotary locally and my island. We continue to feed those in need based on those who had to evacuate in Dorian and now those who've lost their jobs from COVID-19. So we've upped our game with the feeding program. We are still in lockdown on weekends. We're not allowed to leave our house for any reason on Saturdays and Sundays. And during the week, we're on a 24-hour curfew. So we can only leave if we're going to groceries or a pharmacy or a doctor, essential services, basically. The Prime Minister did start opening up. I think we have a landscaping companies 2 days a week, hardware 2 days a week. So we're kind of starting to see that we can get out again. But if you go to the bank, there's a line outside the bank, 30, 40, 50 people. I noticed the grocery stores have finally calmed down. You can get in a grocery store fairly easy. In the early days, it would take you an hour just to get in the front door. But that's helped. But the bank is still unbelievable. I am so lucky because I'm an old person. I got a special line I can get in. It's really embarrassing. I kind of got to hide my face. Those 30 people who are waiting in line, and I walk up and walk in. But you do what you got to do. So that works. So we're, I think Rotarians have to be very optimistic. Look at the positive side. Look at the opportunity we have now. When you have a crisis, this is a time to look at change. And Rotary, I believe, still needs change. And each Rotary club needs to step back and look and see, in this new world, what should we do different? And how can we make our club more efficient? How can we keep growing as a club? How can we bring in new members? How can we keep doing our service? You know, I think of my club, our big fundraiser every year is a golf tournament where we raise $150,000 every year. We can't do a golf tournament. Our golf clubs are still closed. So how are we going to do it? We're struggling with exactly what to do. But we are so creative as an organization, as an individuals. I know we're going to come out of this stronger than ever. So I would say stay positive, stay engaged. If you see somebody not showing up to your meetings, pick up the phone and call them. Make sure they're okay and see what they could do to help. Okay, we need to reach out more than we've ever reached out before and make sure everybody stays engaged and does what we do. And again, I'm going to stay away from what Rotary is doing because I know David has kept you up to date on the board decisions, and they've been very proactive. They're working up hard. They've created this pandemic task force, which the trustees asked me to be the liaison to. So Rotary is going to come out of this stronger than ever. We might take a dip in membership, but I believe we'll come back stronger when the world sees that we are the organization that stepped up and did what we do. So how about if I close it there and I'll throw it out for any questions you might have.
Barry, thank you so much for being with us. You are our number one son and Nestor's our number one daughter, and we just love you much. There's a question in the chat pane about Rotaract, and as we all know, President Mark had this Elevate Rotaract task force in the current Rotary year. But the question is, you did so much work to lift up Rotaract into our Rotary family. What do you think needs to be done to keep them engaged moving forward in our organization?
First of all, Rotary clubs that have Rotaract clubs need to be more engaged with what Rotaract is doing. A Rotarian needs to go to every Rotaract club, and you need to invite your Rotaractors to come to every Rotary club. We need to do better at that relationship between the two clubs. Rotaractors felt a year ago that basically we created a club and then we just left them to themselves. We've got to stop that. We've got to go back. We have to mentor them with our experience, our knowledge, all that we've been through, and they have to mentor us with today's world, the digital side of it, and what we could do better than we've done before digitally. So I think there's a real good two-way street that we need to do. We need to continue to encourage them. We need to build more Rotaractors because they're the young professionals. I'm a strong believer that if we work hard with the community-based Rotaractors and we create those relationships, then they're going to make sure they join Rotary clubs. Right now, they don't join Rotary clubs. Less than 4% of Rotaractors go into Rotary. Now, the board took away the age limitation, so now they could stay in Rotaract a little longer until they're ready for Rotary. But then we have to be relevant to young people, young professionals. And a lot of our clubs simply aren't relevant to the young professional. So we got to kind of step back and look at ourselves. Are we relevant? And over time, we've got to change a lot of more things so that Rotaract clubs move into a truly equal position with a Rotary club. Yeah, in the bylaws, they're equal. They're a member of Rotary International, just like Rotary clubs are a member of Rotary International. However, they can't do their own global grant yet. They can't have access to My Rotary like Rotarians can. We've got to change those things so they truly feel that they're an equal member, just younger than Rotary clubs. And I think if we keep going in that direction, we will continue to inspire them to do more.
Okay, thank you, Barry. And Tommy Bagwell did email me just after the start of the meeting. He said he tried to get in, his cell phone connection was too poor to get on, and that he didn't have a simple number to get in via the satellite. But he wants you to know that he is in here in heart and spirit. The meeting's being recorded, and with your permission, I'll get the meeting to him.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
He's had a hard time with connection ever since he's been there.
Yeah. So any other questions of President Barry? Okay, well, thank you so much, Barry, for being with us here today. I'm going to share my screen again and got a little, is anyone here, is Sonia or anybody here from the hospital today? I know they were quite busy this morning. We'd get an update from the hospital.
Jerry's here.
Hey, okay. Jerry, can you give us an update with the Northeast Georgia Medical System?
Well, I wish I could, but I was on a trout fishing trip Thursday, Friday, Saturday, missed all of the command center calls and yesterday's call. But I can tell you that the hospital brought in through the state, it was somewhere around 33 to 35 cargo ship containers. And they've lined them all up behind the North Patient Tower, and it's going to serve as a 20-bed critical care unit. From the outside, it's stunningly unattractive. It literally still has the numbers and everything from the cargo ships on the outside, but the inside, they've had guys working around the clock to build. And apparently they're going to be really nice inside. I think the governor was here to visit the hospital Thursday or Friday while I was away. But that's kind of the big news. I believe the numbers have gone down and continue to drop. But that's unofficial because I haven't seen them in 3 or 4 days. But still working hard, still taking care of those patients. But yeah, I guess the big news is going to be that unit. But we really don't know what's going to happen now that the numbers are dropping, how much that's actually going to be used. So I wish I had more for you, but I'm not going to apologize for being able to be out in the mountains fishing. So it was a nice break to get out of the house now at work. But it's good to see everyone.
Very good. Thank you, Jerry. Does anyone else have any announcements before we conclude? Well, thank you all for being here, especially President Barry. Don't log off for a minute. We've got just a couple of more things to do, and we've got kind of a special ending for you today after the four-way test. Thought it might be nice while President Barry's here. So if you could either mute or unmute, let's recite the four-way test of the things we think, say, and do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned?
Is it fair to all concerned?
Will it build goodwill and better friendships? And will it be beneficial to all concerned? And before you log off, just kind of enjoy this ending. Goodbye, everyone. Hope you have a great week, and Viva la Rotary.
Goodbye.